So you're seeing all these new cool features from Unreal Engine and want to make your own short film, animation, or fight scene. Well, the problem is that you animate in another program, and sometimes transferring over data from one program to another can get pretty tricky. Well, Epic Games has launched Control Rig, an ability to animate your characters directly in the game engine. Now you can make a character punch, kick, and fight like those you see in your favorite show or game. But it's still a little scary the first time you open up Unreal Engine. This is going to be a step-by-step tutorial series on how to animate a quick fight scene directly in-engine with the Control Rig. My name is Cliff, and I've made my own fight animations in Unreal Engine for over 7 years, and this tutorial series will help you get started. The plan is that at the end of this series, you will pick up the knowledge and tools necessary to create your own fight animation. To start things off, I have created other fight scene tutorials for Maya and Blender, and I'll be breaking down those same tips here as well. In the Blender series, I created a slightly more complicated short fight scene than the one in Maya, but for this one, we're gonna go back to the simpler combo. Even though I will be breaking down how to create an animation in Unreal, the principles here can be applied to any program. This is not a beginner Unreal Engine course. I will go slow and explain everything that I'm doing, but I wouldn't consider this a how to learn Unreal Engine tutorial. I am also not planning to go into any deep advanced features just yet. Like creating your own control rig, I really wanted to do something simple that anyone can pick up. The environment I am using is the stylized boxing club from Liard Studio. One of the main reasons I transitioned from rendering in Maya and Blender and strictly using Unreal is the environments. Finding quality assets that fit together, creating an environment, and then lighting that environment to make it look professional and then ready is a huge time sink no matter which animation program you prefer. Not only do most, if not all, Unreal Engine environments come with a default stage that you can use to start your environment, it almost feels like playing a video game when it comes to building your own custom environment. And there's no best place to start than with this series sponsor, Liard Studio. They offer a wide range of game-ready assets including environments, characters, props, materials, and 3D models. So Liard has hooked us up with their own discount code, Roundtable Animation 30, that you can use at checkout from Gumroad for any of the assets in the store for 30% off. On top of that, they're running a limited time mega discount of 19 high quality packs that include a Cyberpunk lab, a Roman Street environment, and even a tutorial on how to create levels. Each one of these assets is probably going to go for 50 to 60 to even $100.
The entire pack, all included, they're practically giving it away for $100 for the entire thing. But they reached out and really liked what we're doing over here with Unreal Engine and prepared us with our own crazy discount code that doesn't take only 30 but actually 70% off the entire pack. So you can get this entire thing for just $30. Make sure to use our discount code RTSA70 at checkout and get some really high quality looking AAA style environments. Not only do you guys benefit, but doing so supports the channel. The boxing club environment I am using is a part of the pack, but of course you can use any environment for the tutorial. If you are downloading your environment, make sure to unpack it in your Unreal Projects folder, double click on the scene file, select the engine version, and open up the scene.
Okay, so once you have your environment opened, we need to go ahead and get some rigs here. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my Epic Games tab, and I'm just going to go to the marketplace. And I'm going to look for Control Rig. Now I have it already, but what I want to do is get this Control Rig pack, which is a sample pack, which is free from Epic Games. I'm going to click on it and I'm going to add to project, right? So when I click add to project, I'm going to pick the project that I want to bring it to. And add. All right, and once everything is set up, our rigs, or at least our basic rigs, is automatically going to be added into the file. So you can see now I have my environment and my control rig right in my file. So from here, as great as this sample look of our assets is, we'll probably want to make it look more like a scene. So in most files or most environments that come with Unreal Engine, they come with like a sample version of how that environment would look with all the assets put together. So from here, I'm going to go into the Boxing Club folder, go into Maps, and then pick which one you want. So the overviews, I believe, was what we have open here anyway, right? You can see Overview Editor, which is what this is. So you have a level day and level night. Now you can pick either or. I'm sure they're exactly the same, besides the fact that one's probably lit different, but I'm going to pick level day. So from here, you'll see that our environment now opens up and looks a lot better than the overview look of what I had before. Now you'll see all these little, I guess, buttons or different icons, and these are just the icons for whatever is attached to the assets onto the field. So this means that it's attached to the floor. This one is the lighting, or the reflection capture. This one is another reflection capture. So every single one has a little icon attached to it. I believe this one, that's probably the ring. So from here, in order to not necessarily see them right away, I'm going to click on this hamburger icon, go down to the game menu and just kind of click that. So now that we have our environment set up, it's time to go ahead and bring in our characters. So from here, I'm going to go to boxing. I'm going to go back out and I'm going to just search, actually come back out to content. Now I can go in here and look into my characters. Now we have a couple of characters, right? Like you saw that sample pack that has the mesh. So you can go into your rigs and look for the control rig. So this is one I'm going to pick, right? So I believe there's a couple of them, but I believe this one has more detail than the other. This is more of a basic version of it, and this one has a lot more details, which is the one that we're going to need for our fight scene. So I'm going to click, hold, and drag, and bring it out to our scene, right? So now when I have placed the character to the scene, now that you see him here, a few menus popped up. Right, we have our sequencer menu, which is going to be our way of kind of is our dope sheet if you're from Blender, in a way to go ahead and see all of the keys that we have. So all of our controls are down here, and we'll be able to go ahead and kind of see exactly where the keys are on the timeline. So that's what the sequencer menu is here. This is our outliner, just in case if we wanted to go ahead and mesh with the controls or anything like that. This is usually, at least for what I've used so far, used in a rigging process. I'm sure it has some use with the animation. I just haven't gotten a chance to see that yet. Everything I've seen, it's just using the dope shape. And believe our outliner just showcased that this is now onto the into the scene. So from here, I'm going to do a few things in order to go ahead and start the animation process. The first thing I'm going to do is we have, at least in this environment, an outline situation here because of the 2D effect. I'm going to remove that. That's a post process. So I'm going to look up post, and there we go. So it's going to have an outline. This takes care of some effects, but this is the one I wanted to remove. That's the first thing. Then I'm going to change this to 24 frames per second. Right? And then we're going to set our character up for animation. So in order to set the character up for animation, what that also entails is what I removed the icons for game view, that I removed the controls as well. So once I bring it back, you'll see that all the controls are back, but it's still kind of messy, right? It's still a little messy, and I want to clean it up just a bit. I haven't seen a way to go ahead and just remove the other icons and leave the controls. There's a way to go ahead and remove the control rig controls and leave everything else out, but not necessarily reverse. But I found a little workaround for myself that works for me. So what we're going to do is we're going to just kind of put this away a bit. Let's bring this down. Let's bring this out. It kind of gives a little bit of a better view. We're going to animate right here in this area. And I'm going to take this viewport. It's very similar to how I would do it in Blender or Maya. And I'm going to combine the viewport the same way I would if I was animating, to be side by side. Right? So from here, now I have two camera views to see the character. I'm going to bring this one up a little bit closer to our character. This is going to be my working file. I'm going to be going in and out with this file, and this is going to be exactly what I see after the fact. So I'm going to add in a camera. So up here, cinematic, and we're going to add us a camera, right? So once we add in the camera, that gives us another view of actually changing up what we see through that camera, and much more customizable than the perspective view. Because the perspective view is going to give you just a plain view of everything, whereas the camera view can actually give you a little bit more, a lot more actually control than what you normally see. So from here, I'm going to switch from the camera, from this perspective view, instead of the other views, down to my camera view, which is going to show you some of the other cameras that came in with the scene, but it's going to use our camera view and moving that over to the side here, whoop, to look for my character. There we go. So now you can automatically feel that it feels a lot more cinematic, right? It's given like a little bit more of a, we're actually looking through a camera lens because of the camera setup. So from here, I'm going to now remove everything. And I'm still not crazy about the lighting. So let's see if we can even increase the light a little bit. Let's go to our directional light, to our details. Let's see if I bring it up to 8. Nothing. So the directional light doesn't change anything. All right, so our skylight has a little bit more control. All right, there we go. That's what I was looking for. So set to 4 at first. So let's change to 6, 10. That's a little better. That's enough to give us a little bit better view. All right. So another trick that is going to be good, at least for me. Another trick that's going to be good to be able to kind of view everything is I'm going to activate the depth of field to kind of just blur out this background. I'm going to go back. I'm going to find my camera. If there's a lot of assets here and you're looking for your camera, I would just type it in instead of looking for it. Let's look for our camera, the cinematic camera that we entered. We're going to switch back to our focus settings, and we're going to change this focus setting to about 55. Now it looks like we just zoomed in, but what we did is kind of give the option to go and separate the background from the foreground. This right now is set to the standard of, I believe, 1,000,000 centimeters of focus. I'm going to bring that all the way down. All the way down. There we go. So a good way to also see exactly how to separate the forward from the back, especially on Unreal Engine, is to kind of draw this debug thing, this debug frame. And what that does, it actually gives you a like a little plane that kind of crashes and lets you know exactly where the camera is registering this focus or not. So if we do it right behind the character, and then you change it, it kind of gives you just a better view. It may not be too different. If you want to see it stable, it's a little bit clearer. Manual may not necessarily see too much of a difference. If you want to achieve more of a difference, you can try to come in a little bit closer, right? And then bring it more, as you can see, a little bit of focus, but that's not going to be our working animation view. But for me, it gives it a little bit more of a clear look of what we're going through. So now from here, before we start actually animating, and now that I have my character here, let's go ahead and start animating. So I'm going to start with my fighting stance. Rotate it, and this is also, you can see how it's snapping here. We're going to remove that by just unchecking here so that it no longer snaps. So you're going to have a nice clear look, and you can see it automatically updates on both sides, so we can see exactly what's going on. So I'm going to start my fighting stance. I'm going to start with my legs here. Oh, same thing here. Let's go ahead and remove this. Now open this up. And we're going to start our fighting stance. Let's bring the character to bend a little bit. And that's it. It's not so bad at starting to pose out in Unreal Engine. I think it's a pretty intuitive system for the control rig. You can definitely get the same type of feel as you would if you were animating in Maya or Blender. Let's see. Let's get this down. Okay, angle to where our opponent would be. Let's bring our shoulders up. Zooming in here. Okay. So now we should have a little bit of a good look before we go attack those fingers of our pose, of our first pose. All right, I'm gonna get a little bit of a stronger stance. It's a little bit of a stronger stance here to go into that fighting pose. Now from here, we're going to go ahead into the fingers, get a little bit closer there. And these green controls control the whole finger curve. So I'm just going to rotate them in. Probably can combine the rest. But it gets a little bit of a wonky rotation. That should be good. Okay, so the first one is done, and I think it looks pretty good. If you look at over here, it looks pretty good here. And then we're going to do the same onto the other side. And we'll go ahead and curve this in. I actually don't like do it all curves like that. I may just do it individually. Man. Not sure why on this one it's curving at a different angle there, but once we kind of get it adjusted, it should be fine. Well, not what I wanted. Curve this in. All right. Just to make sure it looks pretty good before moving forward. Good. Okay. Perfect. And that's our first pose in Unreal Engine. Nice standard fighting pose. You know, you can go ahead and tweak it up a bit more. You know, you can bring this up closer to his face if you want. But right now it's pretty good like this. Switch this back to 24. Could have swore I did before, but all right. So now we have that. We went ahead and set our keys. So I had auto key. I didn't have auto key on. This is our auto key button. So once you click this, at least now going forward, it will be able to go ahead and kind of automatically place our keys once we move a control. So the first thing I'm gonna do is gonna click on this going forward. That way we can have our keys automatically placed. but you'll see here that not all the keys are placed, only the ones that we moved already. And the finger ones, but some of the ones don't have keys. And we want to have keys on everything, at least on our starting frame, because if we then move the character any sort of way going forward, we don't have an established starting point. So gonna move to the top, and then you're gonna see this master control here that's on top of all the other controls. And once you click that, it sets a key for the entire character all the way down. So you don't have to worry about that for now. So now what I'm going to do is at least go by 5 frames. On frame 5, pick it here. Probably can make this a lot smaller. We don't need all of these frames here. Let's go down to here. 50. So now we're going to go into our next pose. Here will be our anticipation pose. And I start with the feet. Kind of go forward towards a little bit, rotating it.
Shine.
So rotating feet just a bit. And now that I have turned auto key on, you'll see that it'll automatically start placing some keys there too.
Oh, sitting on the side.
So we have a little bit of a drag there. Probably just do a bit more, and then that way we kind of can really space out to get this punch pose. And let's bring up the arm a bit, rotate it, bring it back. Just so now that character kind of has a little bit to convey what he's about to do. So arm there, and I think it looks pretty good. If you look at it from one side to the other, we start from our first frame and going to here, you see that we have a little bit of our poses here, jumping from one to the other. All right. Okay. So then from here, we're gonna go, I personally would just lock in all those poses and do another set there, and then go to frame 10 to do the last pose, which is the actual punch pose. So we're gonna have a full rotation hit. And we're going to do everything to really kind of get that jab right across. I'm back a bit, keeping his head forward. All right, now here while we do have a standard looking punch, we're gonna go ahead and just give it a bit more exaggeration onto the pose. Really get this bend in here and rotation. So he's hitting more of the center. Kind of get this out the way. And then now we have a much more of a solid punch pose here. All right, and you look at that anticipation punch, and that comes back. See it? It's very smooth. Like now I know you can see some particles there if it renders, and that's just my graphics card not be able to keep up. But if you even have it on unlit, has a much more of a clear way of showing the pose. And even you can use this as a working model, but for me, the depth of field kind of brings it out a bit, or it's kind of cool to see exactly what it looks like at the same time. But, right, there you go. Now, so what we're gonna do to finish this pose is just to kind of copy the keys that we have here and just kind of bring it back. So even though right now I'm kind of just dragging it back, but what we're gonna do is have the same idea for those poses to do it on its own. So from here, we're going to collapse all of this to bring it up to these just 3 key poses, right? 1, 2, 3. Right, so if I wanted to do extra keys in the middle there, I can, but we're going to keep these key poses. We're going to take this middle one and duplicate it and just drag this out. So now if you look, he brings it back a bit, right? We'll do 15 for now, but I feel like it's going to be a very uniform look. Or it could be pretty snappy, actually, depending on the look of it. Actually, it's a pretty snappy punch. And for the final pose, duplicate, click, drag, made to frame 20. So that's a very... And if we bring it all the way to the top, I would say that is a very uniform looking pose. And to loop, we click here to loop our playback. So even if I at least give it a little bit. So from here, if you're familiar with any other animation programs, you will know that you can be able to adjust the speed and timing depending on the keys here. So if I want a quicker punch, right, I'll move this up one. I'll bring this up one, probably keep this here, and then bringing it low. So that way at least the launch is quicker and then it comes back. And this is kind of more of how you do in fighting games, right? You kind of want to give the opponent the least amount of time to be able to recover. So you kind of have those poses come pretty quick. And that's how I already love how smooth it kind of looks, right? You kind of bring it back. So even if I want to bring this up one, you kind of can as well. And that probably looks the best, right? Boom, comes back pretty quick, back to the starting pose. All right, and that's our first pose. All right, and that's our first combo in Unreal Engine. In the next video, we're going to add in more moves in to make this a full combo. I'll see you guys there.